A warm welcome to Disky Talk with Liolo. If you're tuning in for the very first time, I do ask that you please subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you've been a part of this journey, I hope you thoroughly enjoy this episode. So, on today's episode, I discuss all things Dstv Premiership action as Maritzburg United take on Kaizer Chiefs. So coming up into this encounter then, the last time out, Maritzburg United did play to scoreless draw against Chippa United. And then Kaizer Chiefs won 2-1 against Orlando Pirates in the Soweto Derby. So when we have a look at it then, Maritzburg United will be represented by the blue team, naturally, because they wear blue. And then the red team will represent Kaizer Chiefs. When we have a look at Maritzburg United and Ernst Middderndorp's side, so the formation that he's adopted as of late and that he's gone with has been the 3-5-2. And when we have a look at it then, in goals, he's gone with Engelhardt. So I've been very impressed with Engelhardt's performances and the shot stopper that he is. I think that he's made some brilliant saves, in the past couple of games, and he's been at times the difference for Maritzburg. At times he's kept them in the game, and he's also won them a point, especially in that game against Orlando Pirates where he was so vital. And when you have a look at it then, this is a goalkeeper who's growing in leaps and bounds and who's become a very, very important player for this Maritzburg United, especially in their defensive structure. And then when we have a look at the back three then, as the right-sided centre-half, you'd normally go with Ryan Ray. As the centre-back in between the three, you'd go with Alfred Ndengane, and then you'd go with Ali. So that's normally the back three that he would go with, as, this is a very experienced defence. These are players who have plied their trade for many years within PSL. And then when we move it on right along then, within the heart of midfield, we've got Travis Graham, we've got Ntshangase, and then we've got Clausen. When you have a look at this midfield three then, I believe that this is a midfield three that has quality by virtue of the fact that when you have a look at Travis Graham, this is a player then who is comfortable on the ball. However, he's also then a player who really battles within the heart of midfield. You've got Ntshangase as well, another player who's comfortable on the ball, and you've got Clausen as well. So they tick both sides when you have a look at the coin. So from a defensive perspective, they work really hard in midfield, and then on the ball as well, they do possess quality whenever they do find themselves on the ball within the heart of midfield. And then when we move it on right along then, and we have a look at the two wing-back areas, in the right wing-back position, you've got Theron. This is a player then who offers so much energy and so much speed going forward. And what I like about him is his work ethic, working up and down for Maritzburg United. And then on the left-hand side, you've got Okewuti. So this is a player then who's got quite the engine on him, And by trade, he is a midfielder. As he plays as an 8, he goes box to box. So he does then use that ability and that engine to go box to box within this left wing back position. And from a qualitative perspective, he can also deliver quality balls into the box. And he has a very, very good technical skill set as well. A player who I think then should have stayed actually at Cape Town City or should have then been picked up by Amazulu. However, he does find himself in this Maritzburg United side. And then when you have a look at it up front then, you've got Sukuna, and then you've got Bongoguhle, Hlongwane. So as a pair up front, these two haven't really been doing well, but we do know the quality they possess, especially Hlongwane, as he is a player then who is very tricky, very skillful, and he's also very quick, So this is a player then who could be a problem to this Kaizer Chiefs back line, especially considering the fact that Kaizer Chiefs would most likely go with Matoho and Kadoso. So Hlongwane can actually get at that Kaizer Chiefs back line. by virtue of the fact that he's quick, he's skillful, and he's also got an eye for goal as well. You know, I just think it's about him composing himself and then being able then to ensure that he scores those goals for Maritzburg United. At times, they've lacked a bit of that creativity, you know, especially from the midfield, you know, because when you do look at Ntshangase, Graham, and Claassen, especially in Ntshangase and Graham, they're a lot more on the defensive side, you know, and then Claassen is the box-to-box. So they haven't really had a creative player who could institute that creative play. A player then who has struggled, who is a player who could play as the playmaker and assume that role, is Rowan Human. However, he has struggled. I think if you have him in the side, maybe have him as one of the three. So maybe just go with Graham and Claassen, or Graham and Ntshangase. Then you have Rowan Human there. He is then a player then who could institute those creative chances for this Maritzburg United side. However, like I've mentioned, they have struggled. So that is Maritzburg United. Another player that they do have who is very creative is Hlongwane, who normally tends to play from the wide areas, mostly starts from the left, vertical zone 1, where he is then able to beat his man. He is a skillful player, not the quickest, but very, very good at manipulating the ball then in tight pockets of spaces and cutting in and then looking to institute that creative play for Maritzburg United. However, that will most likely be the 11 in Engelhardt as the goalkeeper, Ryan Reyes, the right-sided centre-back, Alfred Dengane, and then you'll have Ali as the left-sided centre-back. Within the heart of midfield, it will be the trio of Ntshangase, Graham, Claassen as the left wing back, Kewuti as the right wing back, Theron. Up front, then you'll have Sekuna and Hlongwane. And then when we have a look at Kaizer Chiefs, then so Staurt Baxter has tend to go with a 4-3-3. This is a system then that he has favored, and when we have a look at his 4-3-3, then it is quite the defensive-minded 4-3-3 by virtue of the fact that in the heart of midfield, he goes with three defensive-minded midfielders, where in Ntshangase, that is the one who is then expected to be the one who ventures forward, you know, or who's looking for those progressive and penetrative passes. However, let's have a look at the 4-3-3 then. In goals, Daniel Ekpe has been their most consistent. Yes, he did make that mistake against Orlando Pirates where he drops the ball and then Mtambo finishes. However, I think then he will continue with the gloves within goals for Kaizer Chiefs. And then when we have a look at the back four, you've got Jabulo Blom, who's been doing very, very well from a defensive perspective. He's been very solid. And this is a player then who I think will grow in leaps and bounds and just continue with his impressive form. However, whenever then he does advance, I just think then it's about him timing those crosses well and being able to adequately use his instep when he delivers that ball. And yeah, so I just think this is an area that he just has to refine and improve. Otherwise, he ticks all the other boxes because defensively, he's absolutely phenomenal. His body orientation is adequate. He knows then how to combat in 1v1 situations. He knows then how to close the angle of cross. He knows then how to close the channels very well. And then he just wins that ball off you. And then he looks then to set Kaizer Chiefs up going forward. And then when you have a look at the two centre-backs, you'll most likely have Matoho and Cardoso. But it's one thing, it's Madoso, those ones, it's Madoso. So you'll most likely have Matoho and Cardoso. However, when you do have a look at the centre-back pairing, it is quite leaky, and I just think that a better centre-back pairing is Matoho and Dube. I just think that when Dube was instituted at the heart of defence for Kaizer Chiefs, they looked a lot more solid, as Dube was well-versed at dealing with those crosses. He was well-versed at dealing with some of those long balls, and he reads the game very, very well. So I would go with Dube. However, because then they were the centre-back partnership that started against Orlando Pirates and won the game, Staurt Baxter will most likely go with them at the heart of defence. And then at left back, this is where it gets very interesting, because we did see Mabiliso have a very solid performance within the Soweto Derby, where I thought he had a good game. And I do expect him to kick on and make this left back position his very own. However, with Staurt Baxter, he is a coach who tends to make certain decisions, which would surprise you. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're to see Frosla. However, if it's based on merit and form, I just think that Mabiliso should retain that position at left back. And then moving on then right along within the heart of midfield, this is where then it gets a bit defensive, and a bit counterproductive in my opinion. So you'd have Roadblock in there as the defensive midfielder. He'd have Nange and he'd have Cole. So the problem then is Unjabulo Ngobo is a very, he's a centre back by trade, and he's very defensive within the heart of midfield. And you can see it sometimes with the decision making and the passes that he decides to make. Sometimes, he won't make that progressive pass when it's on. Sometimes he'll play it safe, and then sometimes he'll rush the pass. So this is a player then who's getting well acquainted within the confines of the defensive midfield role. And I just think that this is a player then who should be playing at centre back. And come January, Kaizer Chiefs have to go out and sign a defensive midfielder. However, when you have a look at him then, he has been improving within this role. I think against Orlando Pirates, he had one of his better performances. Some might argue that it was his best performance within the defensive midfield role. And at times, he was able then to read the game very well and break down play for Kaizer Chiefs very well. And then when you have a look at Nange, this is then a player who goes box to box, who plays as an 8. However, he is a lot more on the defensive side, But when you have a look at this midfield 3, it then becomes his role to try and get those progressive passes going forward. And then you have Cole. And that's where it gets counterproductive. Because I just think that these two, then, when you have Nange and Ngobo, it sets it up perfectly to have Nkosimpile Ngobo in there, who can operate in the tight pockets of spaces further up the pitch, especially in the left-sided half space, where he's well adept at manipulating the ball and looking to institute those chances for Kaizer Chiefs, where he's very creative then, and also then where he looks to drift into zone 14. This is a player then who's well adept at taking the ball in tight pockets of spaces, looking for those 1-2s and looking to affect play for this Kaizer Chiefs side. However, I think it will most likely be Nange and Cole. And then when we have a look at the front 3, we've got Keagan Dolly, who starts as the right inverted winger. So what he does very well then is start off the right-hand side and then look to come in. And at times, he drifts in to zone 14, where then he does have the fortitude of then having to go at goal himself. This is a player then who is in fine form for Kaizer Chiefs. He's getting the goals, he's getting the assists, and he's proving to be quite the difficult player to track when it comes to how he occupies the half space. And what I love then about Keagan Dolly is that his passes are very direct and they're very penetrative, and they split the defense a lot of the times. He's then able to find his runners. But who are his runners? So you've got Kama Biliat, and then you've got Bernard Parker. So in this encounter then, because Maritzburg United are a very defensive side, I would like to think that Kaizer Chiefs would have a lot more ball possession. So we will see Kaizer Chiefs have a lot more of the ball, especially within Maritzburg United's half. And I don't think it's the type of game where Kaizer Chiefs will be looking to hit Maritzburg on the counter. Yes, at times, whenever Maritzburg do have the ball in Kaizer Chiefs' half, they will then look to win the ball and then look to transition for the attack. But I just think this is a game where Kaizer Chiefs could have a bit more ball possession, and whenever they will have that ball possession, Keagan Dolly then will be very key in ensuring that he does find those runners in behind, where he's so then very key within the half space. However, what we did see against Stellenbosch is that when Keagan Dolly came up against Stellenbosch, and Stellenbosch instituted a back 3, and the fortitude of a back 3 is that you've got an extra defensive layer with the centre-back who plays in between the two. So then Alfred Dengane's job on the day is going to be very key when it comes to how he reads those passes from Keagan Dolly, and ensuring that if that run is made in behind, Alfred Dengane goes with him, and Keagan Dolly did struggle against Stellenbosch by virtue of the fact that they were able then to nullify the half space. They were able then to also nullify those passing channels for Keagan Dolly. So it made it very difficult. So could then Maritzburg United be looking to institute the same defensive action where they close off those passing channels for Keagan Dolly, and Alfred Dengane is always able to track the runner? It's going to be a very interesting encounter, especially when you look at how then Keagan Dolly goes about instituting creative play. And then you've got Billiat, and then you have Parker as well as the front three. But a player then who I would like to touch on is Kama Billiat. He's been their most important player when it comes to creating chances. Yes, believe it or not, he's actually created more chances for Kaizer Chiefs than Keagan Dolly. He's been absolutely instrumental for this Kaizer Chiefs side, especially when it comes to making those runs, creating those chances, and pulling players out of position. And coming up into this game then, I think Keagan Dolly will be absolutely important for this Kaizer Chiefs side as he looks then to continue his fine goal-scoring form, and he looks to continue then his playmaking role when it comes to then popping up into the half space and assuming that role and looking then to inspire this Kaizer Chiefs side going forward. And then when we have a look then at this Maritzburg United side, I think a player who will be key on the day, I think Travis Graham within the heart of midfield, especially then when it comes to ensuring that he's able then to marshal his side very well, especially when it comes to trying then to nullify that pocket of space, you know, that right-sided pocket of space where Keagan Dolly likes to pop up in, which is then vertical zone 4. How then does Travis Graham look then to combat within the heart of midfield for this Maritzburg United side? I think he'll be very key then. And also then when you look at the defense, the back three, also very important as to how then do they pick up this front three, because when it comes to how this front three are, when it comes to their movement and how they are off the ball, they are also very good at that. So it is then a very, very interesting encounter coming up into this game. And how I foresee this game playing out, I think Kaizer Chiefs will have more ball possession than Maritzburg United. However, I do see Kaizer Chiefs winning this game, but I think it will be a narrow win by virtue of the fact that Middendorp is a tactically sound coach. He doesn't like opening it up too much. He doesn't afford the next team too many opportunities. And Kaizer Chiefs will also be looking to be tactically disciplined. So I think this game will end 1-0 to Kaizer Chiefs. So thank you very much for tuning in to yet another special episode of Diski Talk with Liolo. It is Dstv Premiership action as Maritzburg United take on Kaizer Chiefs. Signing out.